9 black people were shot and killed in Chicago this weekend, so blacks rioted in Milwaukee. Milwaukee blacks were protesting the fact that police had shot and killed Sylville Smith, a robbery suspect with a long criminal record who was brandishing a stolen gun. Rioters swarmed the Milwaukee streets chanting, "We demand that we take responsibility for our own lives and stop blaming white people for our troubles. We are going to burn the city down until we stop having children out of wedlock whom we don't take care of so that they join gangs and use drugs. There will be no peace until our young men stop acting like thugs and we all join with the police to help curtail the violent crime in our neighborhood." Possibly I didn't hear those chants correctly. It was very noisy because of all the rioting. Black Lives Matter spokesman Sojourner Crap, no relation to Sojourner Truth, told reporters, quote, "We demand that these police stop shooting innocent robbery suspects with long criminal records who are brandishing stolen guns. Before you know it, a robbery suspect with a long criminal record won't be able to walk down the street brandishing a stolen gun without some bigoted cop killing him. This poor young man never even had a chance to unleash some rounds on his fellow gangbangers in the hood so a stray bullet could go through a window and kill a child doing his homework, something we could all happily ignore," unquote. President Barack Obama spoke out about the police shooting, saying that if he had had a son, he would have looked like Sylville Smith, except for the private school uniform and the contingent of armed guards surrounding him at every minute and the fact he lived in a big white mansion. The president went on to call for peace, saying, quote, "I will continue to speak out, stirring up black anger with false statistics until each and every person in America is not paying attention to the fact that I've regulated the economy to a standstill and allowed the Middle East to go up in flames. Then, once I've made black people angry enough for them to murder and riot, I will call for peace with a sad, serious expression that makes me look like I give a damn about anything besides my agenda," unquote. Harvard Black Studies professor Wittering Articulate told an interviewer, quote, "Milwaukee hasn't had a fully Republican mayor since 1908, so it's time we got out there and voted in some more Democrats to make sure conditions in black neighborhoods continued to deteriorate. Otherwise, let's face it, I'm out of work," unquote. Meanwhile, in Chicago, where there hasn't been a Republican mayor since 1933 and where gun laws are among the most restrictive in the country, there were at least 27 shootings this weekend alone. Mayor Rahm Emanuel told reporters, quote, "Just vote Democrat and restrict guns. I don't have time to say more. I have to get off the street before I get my ass killed." Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is the Andrew Klavan Show. Oh, man, the Klavanless weekend. The Klavanless weekend is fun. Milwaukee didn't know what hit it. Louisiana is underwater. Milwaukee is on fire. Oh, I would work all the time, except I just don't care enough. That's the way it is. All right, we're going to talk about this riot because this is a disaster. This stuff is awful. It really is genuinely awful what's happening to this country, and it is all the fault of our friends on the left. You can watch the first 15 minutes of this on Facebook. And then you have to come to the Daily Wire. You can get it later on iTunes or on SoundCloud. And if you subscribe, you can watch the entire thing. You won't get cut off at all, and you can send questions in the mailbag. Also, if you would like to pre-order a copy of my memoir, The Great Good Thing, A Secular Jew Comes to Faith in Christ, you can send the receipt to me, and I will send to the aclavan@dailywire.com, and I will send you a sticker with an autograph that you can put in the book. All right, let us talk about this. Is a nightmare in Milwaukee. Saturday afternoon, a couple of cops do a traffic stop. They see some suspicious activity in a vehicle. The guy gets out. He's a suspect in a robbery that not only did he steal a gun, but he stole 500 rounds of ammunition. He starts running. He's got a gun with 23 rounds in it, and somehow he ends up dead. Who could ever have imagined that a policeman would shoot a man just for being a robbery? This guy's been in trouble with the law. And by the way, not that it should matter, but we know it does. The cop was also African American, so he's a black cop. Riots break out. City goes up in flames. They broke out again last night. There were gunshots fired. Somebody was shot last night. They set a gas station on fire. They set businesses on fire. Let's take a look at just a little bit of the rioting and listen to what these people are saying.
Black vote! 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 You hear me on being? Is they white? Is they white right? Right here! They white, get their ass! Come on, nigga! Hurry that bitch up! Hey! They beating up every white person. They jumping every white person. Man, no white person come down Sherman. He white. Beat his shit.
So targeting white people, he's white, let's beat him up. You know, it's really, I got to say, if you are a black guy, black girl making his way in the world like the rest of us, this has got to break you. It's got to break your heart. I mean, you got to look at this and just put your head in your hands. I mean, when people shout black power or any kind of power while they're burning things down, everybody's got that power. Everybody's got the power to destroy things. There's nobody who hasn't got that, you know. I mean, you sit with a 1-year-old and you build a tower of blocks, he knocks it down. Why? Because he can. That's the power that he has. So, you know, I mean, it's a lot easier to burn a gas station than to run a gas station. A lot easier to burn businesses and crash their glass than to run a business. And here's one rioter. I hate to laugh, but it's kind of this mordantly funny. Here's one rioter explaining why this is happening.
It's sad because, you know, this will happen because they're not helping the black community. Like, you know, the rich people, they got all this money and they're not, like, you know, trying to give us none.
They have all this money and they're not giving any to us. You know, I have that problem too. A lot of people want more money than me who aren't giving money to me. You know, I mean, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about ideas. What you are seeing when you see this is you're seeing ideas in action. And you wonder why, you know, every day I get these attacks. You know, why do you attack Donald Trump when he's the only thing we've got against Hillary? And why do you attack Hillary and all this stuff? It's because ideas are what motivate people. You know, Myron Magnet, a friend of mine, wrote a brilliant book called The Dream and the Nightmare about how the 60s went wrong, and it contains the sentence that I'm not quoting verbatim, but it's something like, people act because of the ideas in their heads. They act out the ideas in their heads, and that's what we're talking about. Where do these ideas come from? Let's just stop for a sec and talk about the police stop itself, just so we're clear about this. Well, here's the police chief, or the Milwaukee police chief, Edward Flynn, describing how the stop took place. This is the first Flynn quote.
I was advised it was a suspicion stop. They thought this vehicle was behaving in a suspicious manner. It's a rental car, it turns out. We have not ascertained its status as to whether or not it was lawfully rented or stolen or held over. We don't know. But this event, I did look at the tape, and I can tell you this event probably took 20 to 25 seconds. I mean, there was virtually no time between the officer unhooking his seatbelt, turning on his body camera, getting out of the car, and immediately he was in a foot chase. And that foot chase went maybe a few dozen feet before he encountered this individual in a fenced yard bordered by two houses. Not really an alleyway, but a way between two houses. And the incident occurred very, very rapidly. So it was very fast. The individual was armed. The individual did turn toward the officer with a firearm in his hand, and the officer, we can't tell when the officer discharges his firearm because with many body-worn cameras, certainly all of ours, there's a 30-second delay before the audio kicks on. I don't know when the shots were fired.
Okay, so I mean, it drives me crazy that we even have to talk about this. A guy gets out of a car, this guy's been in trouble with the law. The only reason we don't know how long is because his juvenile records are sealed, basically. He was charged with intimidating a witness, which is a very, very vicious and serious thing to do. You know, he's charged with all kinds of crimes. He gets out of a car with a gun. The police stopped him. You know, what do? You put your hands on the steering wheel and say, what did I do? He breaks out of the car, he runs, he's got a gun, he's brandishing the gun. I don't think we have a right to parse what this cop did. I really don't. And I'm not a worship. I really respect the police, and I'm so grateful that they're out there. But I understand the police do bad things and have to be held to account. I think the police understand that as well. But that's not the point. You get out of a car with a gun and you're brandishing the gun, you're a dead man. As far as I'm concerned, that you've written your own epitaph, and your epitaph was, I was an idiot and the police killed me because of it. That's what should be on your headstone, you know? And it has nothing to do with not feeling for the parents or the brothers and the sisters who are out there crying, giving interviews like, oh, they should have tased him. Don't tell me they should have tased him. You know, what are you talking about? You know, I don't want a cop to have like a black and blue mark on his leg because of this guy. I didn't, let alone risk him getting shot. So here is the outspoken sheriff, David Clark, the Milwaukee sheriff. We've all seen him. He goes on Fox News all the time, and he's just always hammering at Obama for being the instigator of a lot of this. And he talks about what this stop was like if you're on the ground.
These things are tragic situations every time an officer has to use force. No officer wants to do it. It is a last resort. And the actions of the perp matter here and are important. He was armed. And not just because you're not armed, because I always say unarmed does not mean not dangerous. But this would appear to be, I don't know all the facts. You know, these cop haters can't say police shoot unarmed man. So you look at a lot of things, and this guy didn't deserve to die, but he's a co-actor in his own demise. Some people can't stomach that. Well, that sounds cruel, but it's the truth. You get out of a car with a handgun in your hand when you confront the police, bad things are going to happen. Not through any fault of the officer. The officer is not required, and I never want officers to get to a state where they have to let the perpetrator make the first move. They have to get shot at or have the gun pointed at him. A gun in the hand down here to a cop, it's very quick from here to here.
It's very quick from here to here. That's exactly right. And everything he says there's true. The guy's a co-actor in his own demise. It's not like, oh, we're glad he's dead. It's not like he deserved to die. No, nobody deserves to die. That's what the Bible tells us. You know, we all deserve to die or nobody deserves to die. That's not the point. That is a perfect description, a co-actor in his own demise. He brought it on himself, is another way of putting that. And the other thing is the guys who then go out and riot, right? They have their own agenda. They're not out there weeping for this guy. They're not trying to save black lives. We know that. We know that the murder rate in Chicago, I think it was this weekend, 9 people died in Chicago. You know they were black. The people who killed them were black. Nothing from these BLM people. But it's all about this, and they're going to make a fuss. And one of the things Clark realizes is they are not about the lives of people, no matter what their title of their organization is. They are about their agenda. He talks about it here.
I looked at some of the particulars of that, shootings, robberies. Those lives are valuable too. Okay, and they don't seem to. I know why, because this other one, this police, is a political construct, and that's not a political construct. But I think it shows the phoniness and the contradictory nature of this ideology. And I think it's a shame they're exploiting this for some political reason. And, at some point, I think the public's going to get it. I really do. They're going to be exposed for what this thing really is. It's a thinly veiled anarchist movement, just trying to incite chaos, threatening institutions we have. Police are a government institution. We stand on the front lines of ordered liberty. You want to attack ordered liberty and have the chaos you saw last night, you have to attack the police to get through it.
Right, exactly. The police are the thin blue line that protect ordered liberty. It is, the thing is, the police are not the purpose of the police. We are the purpose of the police. The guy who writes a book, the guy who has an idea, the guy who invents a computer. We are the purpose. That stuff doesn't happen when the city's on fire. That stuff doesn't happen when you can't go out to get a pack of gum without getting mugged. New York changed. New York City, and I was there, was a hellhole. It was a hellhole. It was going down the drain, and it was only the kind of tough policing that the Obama administration is now attacking in every way it can. Only the kind of tough policing. They call it what do they call it? There's no I can't remember. They have some, it's broken windows policing, but they basically say there's no, we have no tolerance. No, that's it, zero tolerance. No cop uses that phrase. No cop uses the phrase zero tolerance. The cops are in the business of tolerating the small things people do, but if you don't stop them from urinating against the wall, from painting on the wall. If you don't stop those little crimes, the neighborhood becomes a place the predators see as their territory. And that was the idea behind broken windows policing. But it's more than that, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, we have to say goodbye to our friends on Facebook. Come on over to Daily Wire. Charge!